2024 is going to be a huge year for Polkadot as we are moving ever closer to Polkadot 2.0, where we are going to see fundamental changes to how things are done on Polkadot. We are moving away from the parachain model and starting to view these parachains as cores in the supercomputer that is Polkadot. This is something that is going to transform Polkadot and its ecosystem and make it more inclusive and more in demand, in my own opinion. But the upgrading of Polkadot doesn't just stop with Polkadot 2.0, where we're looking to move away from the parachain model to a core time model. We also have seen from September, Gavin Wood put forward a proposal in regards to something called CoreJam, which is fundamentally changing the relay chain and Polkadot once again. Now, this has largely flown under the radar. However, Gavin Wood at Sub-Zero this week actually did an entire presentation on it. And this is what I want to spend this video talking about. What I want to do is introduce CoreJam to you guys and then actually dive over to a clip from Sub-Zero of Gavin Wood talking himself about the concepts. Now, I do feel like Polkadot is probably, in my opinion, as somebody who looks at many different crypto projects out there, one of the hardest to wrap your head around from a technical point of view. You guys will know I have a background in dentistry. Technology is not my forte. However, I've had to learn very quickly. And I can honestly say Polkadot is one of the most complex blockchains to actually wrap your head around. And it seems like it's getting more complex, but we'll try and simplify this where we can. The best place for me to start this video off is actually to go over to the GitHub and look at Gavin's posts. He proposed back on the 11th of September 2023 CoreJam, and I want to start there before we dive into a clip of Gavin Wood talking about CoreJam in a little bit more detail at Sub-Zero. So here you can see this was proposed by Gav of York. And essentially this started on the 11th of September 2023. And we're going to go ahead and read the summary. This is a proposal to fundamentally alter the workload done on the Polkadot relay chain, both in terms of which is done on chain, i.e. by all relay validators, as well as which is done in core, i.e. distributed among subsets of the validators. The target is to create a model which closely matches the underlying technical architecture and is both generic and permissionlessly extensible. In the proposed model, code is stored on-chain with two entry points. Workloads are collated and processed in core and thus parallelized. This one entry point, whereas the refined outputs of this process are gathered together and an on-chain state machine processed according to the others. While somewhat reminiscent of a map-reduce paradigm, a comprehensive analogy cannot be taken. The in-core processing code does not transform a set of inputs, but is rather used to refine entirely arbitrary input data collected by some third party instead, and in accordance, we term it collect, refine, join, accumulate. So what was the motivations behind all this? Well, Polkadot was originally designed as a means of validating state transitions of WebAssembly defined state mechanisms known as parachain validation functions. These state mechanisms were envisioned to be a long-lived of the order of years and transitioning continuously at the full capacity of modern single-threaded hardware held in consensus over the internet and in isolation to any other such state machine. Having actually built Polkadot, it became clear that the flexibility of the machinery implementing it allowed for a more diverse set of usage patterns and models. Parathreads, which came to be known as on-demand parachains, or ODPs for short, is one such model. This was underlined by other proposals to allow for a more decentralized administration of how the underlying Polkadot core resources is procured, in particular agile core time. More recently, the idea of having small to medium-sized programs executing without its own surrounding blockchain using only relay chain resources has been discussed in detail, primarily around the core plate proposal. It therefore seems short-sighted to assume other models could not exist for utilizing the relay chain's core resource. Therefore, in much the same way the agile core time originally strived to provide the most general model of procuring relay chain's core resources, it seems sensible to strive to find a similar general model for utilizing this resource, one minimizing the difference between the valuable function of the validators and the services offered by Polkadot. Beyond delivering additional value through the increased potential for use cases that this flexibility allows, our motivation extends to gaining sustainability, a future-proof platform allowing teams to build on it without fear of high maintenance burdens, continuous bit rot, or a technological rug pull at some later date. Secondly, we are motivated by reducing barriers for new teams, allowing the Polkadot platform to harness the power of the crowd, which permissionless systems uniquely enable. Being extensible, the relay chain becomes far more open to experimentation within this paradigm than the classic parachain proof of validity and validation function as its case presents. Being permissionless opens Polkadot experimentation to individuals and teams beyond those core developers. So this is super exciting. This is an actual kind of in the same way that we are actually looking to move to more of a kind of fluid ecosystem where you don't need to win a parachain auction. Anybody can use one of Dot's cores through the procurement of core time, block space. In the same way that we're looking to do that for Polkadot's ecosystem and the kind of cores within it, we're actually looking to do that with the Polkadot relay chain itself. And this is essentially what CoreJam is all about. Now, there's a lot I'm missing out, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible as it's quite a complex topic. Let's take a quick look at the explanation Gavin Wood gives. So it goes on to say, CoreJam is a general model for utilization of Polkadot cores. It is a mechanism by which work packages are communicated, authorized, computed, and verified, and their results gathered, combined, and accumulated into a particular part of the relay chain's state. From old to new, the current specifications of Polkadot's protocol and within the relay chain operations is designed in line with the overall requirements of the terminology in the Polkadot 1.0 white paper. It incorporates first-class concepts including proof of validity and parachain validation function. This will no longer be considered canonical for the Polkadot protocol. To avoid confusion, this design will be known as a fixed function parachain legacy model, or legacy model for short. So this, again, just like Polkadot 2.0, sort of moving away from a fixed parachain model and really extending to everyone now. This is also really a way of actually turning the actual relay chain into more of an agile model itself. This is something I'm super excited about. I know many of you guys in the Polkadot community are. The last thing I want to do is go over to a clip from Sub-Zero where Gavin Wood outlines the concepts of CoreJam, and then we'll leave the video there.
Okay, so the jam concept. Right, it's a domain-specific chain. Okay. So it does one particular thing. It's not a general purpose chain. In many respects, when you see the jam chain sort of specified, you can see there's quite a lot of similarity to a smart contract chain. In particular, the jam chain allows code to be hosts permissionless code actually on the chain itself. Very similar to what a smart contract chain does. It's not a smart contract chain, though, for a number of reasons. But it's quite nice that it has some of these properties, and it allows us to make direct comparisons for some things. Okay, why is it not a smart contract? Well, actually, I'm gonna wait until the next slide to dive into that. Specifically, what the Jam chain does is it accepts outputs of rollups, right? Of bits of computation that have been done already. So these bits of computation are done elsewhere, and then whatever data they yield is fed into the Jam chain. The Jam chain's job is to essentially provide the necessary apparatus to ensure that this output correctly reflects the input when it goes through whatever transformation it's meant to have gone through. Okay. Again, this is like fairly basic stuff for what rollups are. And furthermore, and probably most importantly, or more, at least as importantly, the Jam chain is there to integrate the outputs of these computations into some shared state. Right, so it provides this model, the shared state model for integrating outputs together. This is relatively, we can see how if you compare what Polkadot is doing now, the relay chain, we can see how it fits into this model. But interestingly, we can see how other chains, like what Ethereum is doing, also fit into this model. It's a very general model.
Pretty exciting stuff. We will keep you up to date as we move forwards. I think there's a long way to go before this is actually rolled out. We're looking at like maybe 20 months. But the beautiful thing about Polkadot is it moves significantly faster than most other ecosystems. Take the Ethereum move to proof of stake. That I think was mentioned in 2018, didn't come to fruition until just over a year ago now. So the thing is with Polkadot is it moves a lot faster. I mean, look at what's happening with the parachain model. If it was any other chain or any other ecosystem, that would take a long time to implement. Polkadot will probably have that out, probably sometime this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes sort of around the second quarter. But everything's moving in the right direction. This is interesting. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. We'll leave a link to the full Sub-Zero video of Gavin Wood talking in more detail about this in the description. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed this content, a like is always greatly appreciated. So is a comment, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next.